I have been invited here today to conduct this funeral ceremony. And today will be a celebration of a life that has been lived, an attempt to assert simply and quietly our gratitude for a life that has been shared. It is our way of bidding farewell with care, respect, and dignity. As Warren was known as by many of you here today. My concern is in not pronouncing it correctly. Was. Well, we will refer to it today. I am here to enable you to celebrate, to pay tribute to Warren's life. And today we join with his wife, his stepson, Robert, his parents, Marilyn and Mike, and his brother, Barry, and Carter. We also join with the rest of his family and friends who have come here today to mourn, to express their feelings for bidding him this last farewell. Now this is a very sad, especially sad, because grief for someone comparatively young who has died is tragic and hardest to bear. When an old person dies, we may grieve, but we can accept more readily that a life has been lived and has grown to an inevitable close. It is seen as a natural event, like the sunset dissolving into the dusk as the night falls. Like someone like Warren does, who was enthusiastically and passionately involved with life and had so much to live for. It's like the sun being blotted out by a sudden eclipse. We therefore mourn not only the life that was, but also the life that might have been. Now we have come together from different places and are at different stages in our journey through life. Our paths are varied and we look at life in different ways. But there is one thing we all have in common. At one point or another, to some degree or other, our lives have been touched by the life. Now I'm sure everyone here today will agree that Warren wouldn't want his funeral ceremony to be sad and morbid, as he was a lively character, a colourful person, and indeed one of life's great people. Warren made his way into the world on the 22nd of December 1966 to parents Marilyn and Mike, and brought up in South Shields alongside his brother Gary, who he got on well. Now school days for Warren were good times, as he was indeed an intelligent young man who enjoyed playing football and cricket, once breaking his arm playing five-a-side football, and I believe broke 2 fingers when he was playing cricket. Warren was a typical little rascal, you think, whilst growing up. He was a happy lad who had many friends from an early age. But when he finally closed his school books, he opened up his college textbooks to study electrical engineering, changing his career somewhat when he found his first job as a clerk in South Shields Town Hall. A few years later, he moved jobs to Curry's Electric in the goods side. But it was no time, as he enjoyed a night out with his good friends, and especially the night at the lawn. But he made a friend of her, a sweetheart of Marilyn. I knew that would be a laugh. I told her it would probably get In 2009, at Chillingham Castle in Northumberland, the most idyllic setting, perfectly suited for both of their characters. They set up home in Dewsbury, in Cortege, helping run the business, and that's when he started some years ago to be a businessman. A few years later, they decided they wanted something different, so they did a week-long course at running a public house. After which, they interviewed for the job of running the Penny Guild. They passed the process with flying colours, and shortly afterwards, they started their new life, their new career. They both were terrified, but as soon as they settled and made so many friends, they were brilliant in their new profession. As the month passed, there were so many people who started to look up to one, and he loved these times. They bought a trike, which gave them so much pleasure to ride out, but they also raised a great deal of money. In his younger years, Warren's passion was often going to music festivals. It burned bright, and he shared this interest with Barry. Warren and June also enjoyed the same pastime. In fact, music was something that gave them both a great deal of pleasure. They brought that pleasure to the Penny Club, creating his legacy with bands playing every week, and then from Friday through to Sunday. This was loved by all of the ladies. So many great performers, breathing new life into the old Penny. Ours was a loving and happy man, a kind-hearted, generous man, who would only ever do a good turn, never abandon. His family, who always were a big part of his life, always having a great deal of respect for his steps, and proud to be uncle of Phoebe and Grace. His tried brotherhood was like the second family from the Penny, and he again had a great deal of respect for all the members. Now, holidays for June and Warren were often spent at music festivals, but sometimes in Belgium. It contrasted with the peace and quiet of a beautiful log cabin with stairs sometimes. But it wasn't always loud music in busy bars. As he relaxed by reading his classic rock magazine in the bath. I think it was about 2 hours. And of course, enjoy the company of his stories. Many people counted themselves as friends, and they have asked me to read out some of their thoughts and memories. Now I will read them in their words. And this is from Nigel. I miss him hiding his favourite sweets and cookies for us all to share later, reluctantly, of course. Had many loves in his life, including bikes, music, and the Penny Guild. Ride hard, free, my friend. Thank you. Chris and Tracy. We know Waz and Jim since they took over the club, and the four of us just clicked, having similar interests, including rock music. was loved his music. We all did. And the fact that they wanted to turn the pub into a rock bar, we just had to support this. Turning it into our second home. We became friends outside of the pub on occasion nights, into Durham, and of course our house, or the pub flat, if they ever got a night off. And even occasionally trips away. We invaded York for a day, causing a riot in the York Centre, and went on to recent trips, bike rallies, and pub outings, and to see live music, and of course, support other pubs. Was a good, caring mate to everyone around, with a fab sense of humour, even down to the daft stuff, like playing through the foyer at the end of the night in his big to clear the pub. The Wurzels, laughing gnomes, etc. So bad we had to get a pub. Always a smile when you saw him, totally devoted to you. Thank you for being such a good person, with an abundance of generosity, wisdom, and humour. Thanks. From Adam, and I apologise in this case if you know what's going on. Well, again, I apologise if it just offended. Well, me and Warren were never short of crazy ideas and theories, but when I think of him, there is always two things that spring to mind. The first of which is Warren and his obsession of getting a black Chinese dwarf for the pub mascot, and how we would catch one. I did check it was okay to say that. Now, nearly every time we spoke, a new plan was formed. The greatest theory of all came about when we saw the gas canisters at the back of the pub. They had Fox Gas written on them. So it was obvious to us that someone must have the job of chasing foxes around with the tube covering this gas. These sound superficial, but I think of Warren. I think of those and so many crazy conversations that came out of thin air. Warren's greatest fun was when we all went to a gig at South Shields. There were 8 of us, and was said he had got a van, which I went to pick up with him. When we got to pick it up, I saw a transit van and stood next to it. Woz looked at me and said, "No, not that one, you know," and pointed to the Astra estate, which me and Lambo and Jess had to climb in the back of. Woz was a great man, a true friend, but to me, he was a father figure and will always have a place in my heart. He will never be forgotten for all these things he did to help me. Thank you, Mom. Right. Thanks a lot. And we have Steve. I have so many wonderful memories of Warren. But what has stuck with me was his legacy. In the days since the accident, it has been clear to me just how much Warren was liked, admired, appreciated, looked up to, and respected. So much grief from so many people, young, old, and everything in between. A man who could unite so many people irrespective of music taste, background job, or circumstances, all are because of his efforts in the penny bill. He will leave not just a wife, but a family. A family made of he will leave not just a wife, but a family. A family made of rockers, punks, goths, bikers, hippies, pensioners, karaoke kings and queens, quiz goers, buskers, and well, everyone who ever walked through those black and white doors. I miss you, my friend. Sarah. So many stories. Where do I start? The Pennygill parties, the beach party in December, a Christmas party in June, numerous Halloween parties. No one could ever say that the penny didn't make the effort. The Viking party in December, it's hot, so let's wrap up ourselves in fur and have a Viking party for my birthday. Okay, but why not? Everyone made a huge effort. The metalers, the goths, the punks, the hippies, the hairy bikers, and the not so hairy bikers were all welcome. Everyone was known. Except the charts, you two, and Adele. Drinking horns held high, swords, shields and helmets, all at the ready. The evening was coming on. At the end, it was suggested we had a drink in spoons. So in full Viking dress, the Pennygill formed a battle line and charged straight across the road into the spoons, chanting, screaming, swords waving, all friends together. And the men went. Now I have another one from someone who just calls themselves the title of brothers. The Lone Ranger and Topto came to the Pennygill and built their fields of trees. I'm still not sure which is which. They built it and we came and were invited to stay and welcomed into the extended and loving Pennygill family. Warren and Jim have created an open, welcome family, a community built on music and friendship. If you turned up with an open heart and open ears, you were welcome in the same way. Lots of people talking, making a difference. Warren and Jim have done that just by being wasn't Jim. By reinventing the Pennygill as a rock band, they have made a difference to the town and created a community which in turn has created so many friendships to all walks of life. A tune in the pen. A couple of weeks ago I heard a blast from the past tune played in the pen. A tune written by an American punk bass player almost, sung by a Spennymoor-based Irish band comprising of 2 Englishmen, a Dutchman, and a pop. Thank you. I was told this would be anonymous, so I won't share their names. A Rose Tattoo is a song about a young man and his tattoo, a collection All have a deep and personal meaning from the story of their life, and those who are close to you. I'll remember deep as no smile, which never said a word but spoke volumes about the man. And for us, like a tattoo, the pain will subside, but the memories will last forever. Right now, I'm sure all of us whose life we touched have a little rose tattoo in the corner of our hearts, which you inscribed. Was it? Ride in peace, pal. P.S. Been a crazy year for losing people, almost as famous as one of us tonight. That's going to be when it gets organised. Can you imagine the conversation of Elvis telling Lemmy he's got to do 3 songs before he has a drink? Thank you all so very past that one time. And Warren has indeed touched so many lives, but I believe that no one who encountered him failed to be warmed by his zest for life, his capacity for affection and friendship. And it's too hard to imagine life without him, too hard to know what we will do without him. He lives on in our hearts, and this is what life after death means. It means that you give so much of yourself while you are here to those you know, to those who need you, and to those who love you. And there is much of us that remembers what it's like, teaches us, and proves to us is what will survive is love, and what survives us all is love. Those we hold most dear never truly leave us, for they live on in the kindness they have shown, the comfort they have shared, and all the love that they brought into our lives. Now, although there may be those of you mothers for whom a religious faith is a central part of your life, and are familiar with a different form of service, I hope we can agree that the human values we all share are very important to each one of us. As we entered here today, we had great morning time. Soon in our reflection time, we will listen to. As we leave, we will release. And in our reflection time, you can remember one as you knew him best, in your own personal relationship with him. And for those of you with a religious faith, please use these moments for your own private and personal prayers. And also we will have time for our own
Vision softly